Hey guys, what's up? It's Audrey. It is that time again where we make something with a random color palette. Woo! Hopefully lightning strikes twice and we get a really good palette again. The first one ever that we did, Justin pulled for us and it was really, really good. Got, I think, 500 palettes total. It's a lot. As always, we're just gonna go for it. Just so you can see, this is random. Maybe go toward an edge here. Oh, God. It's jam-packed. Ooh, this is number 62. Oh, I actually really love this. I think I've made a few things with like a palette similar to this. Like a red and gold and then some like grayscale colors. I love it. This is your first making something with a random palette video that you've watched. These are Sarah Renee Clark's color cubes. Link is in the description. Go ahead and watch like the first one of this as well. But yeah, she made these color cubes. It's just a bunch of color palettes. I think it's a super fun way to do something like this. Experiment with palettes that you don't have to come up with, and also just provide some good inspo for like interior decorating and stuff like that as well, not just design. But I'm a designer, so I want to use it for design. I think it'd be super fun just because I'm a nerd based in design, but I have a deep love for like medieval things and just like fantasy and like D&D lore and stuff like that. Even I've never played D&D, so I sound like a fake fan, but like I've always wanted to play, but like that kind of world. It's even in some of my personal branding now. Like it's to that degree. I think it'd be a fun little topic. So I think going more of a vector approach, I kind of want to vibe with just like making some like random graphics and just kind of like collaging them together, like not necessarily having like a composition necessarily or a scene or anything, but yeah, just like having some like mini like vignette illustrations that just use the color palette and just kind of like organizing them around almost like a flash sheet or something. So yes, let us seeth what we shall maketh. All right, so we're in Illustrator. I got my colors over here. Again, the hex codes on the palette swatches are super handy. And then I've got my sketch in here, and these are super loose, super bad. And yeah, we're just gonna, as always, go for it. I don't do this very often, but I think for this specific like little mini project here, I'm gonna use the brush tool. If you haven't used the brush tool, it's just pressing B, but you can make strokes with this, you know, instead of using the pen tool and trying to like, you know, follow a certain thing. I just don't want my illustrations to feel super constructed, if that makes sense. Like, you know, a lot of people, especially when they do like logo designs or icons and stuff, like they do based off of like shapes and the pen tool and everything, and I don't want it to feel super mechanical, if that makes sense. Like these are super loose and supposed to be super fun, so I think even though I'm going to be drawing with a mouse here, I think it'll give like a really fun organic kind of quality to it. So, and you know, with the brush tool I can at least edit some points and stuff if it's like way too far off, so there is some flexibility there. So I'll lower my opacity of my sketch over here. And then for some of these that are more type driven, I'll probably play around with like finding some fun like typefaces and then editing those from there just to kind of have a base. But I think we can just start with one of these and see how we like it and color pick from our swatches over here. And there is a bit of like automatic smoothing with the brush tool as well, which for this I wouldn't really want, but to be honest, I don't really know how to turn that off. So for this idea, I thought it'd just be a funny concept for like, think of like a group of travelers, whatever, like a D&D kind of group, and their mom packed their lunch for them for their adventure. Bilbo Baggins going on his adventure and stuff. Love that as an idea. And of course it's not mom, it's mother. And then just the idea of like they're getting attacked or something and the lunch gets impaled. Another reason why I want to use the brush tool is just to be able to kind of like draw on some of these like scuffs, like little little hash marks. So I'll probably do the outlines of all of this stuff and then go back in for like filling and everything, and then kind of see like how I want to treat like shadows and like color spots and all that good stuff. These are so ridiculous. I love it. Alrighty, I got my illustrations outlined. They're all extremely rough, where like a lot of the points and stuff like aren't quite, you know, connected to each other or anything, but I think that's totally fine because I think what I'm going to end up doing is expanding all of these outlines. I just wanted to have that as an option. But yeah, I think what I'm going to kind of do now is do some like color filling, and so I'm actually going to use Shift B. It's not in like outlines, it's like this is a shape. I go to outline mode, this is a shape, rather than the outlines that you see here with all the other stuff. So I'm going to lock my main illustration layer, and I'm gonna just pick this like light gray just to make like the overall like fill. And so yeah, with this illustration style and everything is so loosey-goosey, really not trying to be super finicky about all of it. Almost like, again, like a flash sheet or like little stickers, and then adding some like fun touches in Photoshop. So let's say that like I went outside the lines a little bit here. I can do Shift E, and that's the eraser tool. And then that could easily erase outside stuff as well. And then I'll select all of these things, go to Object, Expand. So then in outline mode, all the type and all of those things, even the strokes and stuff, should be actual shapes now. And I'm trying to think through process here because there's a couple ways I could go about coloring and like staying within the lines and whatever that I kind of want to do for this. I think because I want to use clipping masks, and if I want to use like a grainy brush and, you know, having a little more freedom with that, I might just copy and paste these into Photoshop, but copying and pasting the fill and then the like stroke or black layer on top. I know it sounds probably a little more involved than what a lot of other people would do, but I think just for what I know and like what I want to do with my process, it kind of makes more sense for me that way. So yeah, I'll just separate these out and add them to Photoshop. I tried to kind of scale some things and rearrange the way I wanted to. Got my color swatches up here. So my plan is I'm gonna kind of tinker around and see like stylistically what I'm liking, but right off the bat, using a clipping mask, that's kind of why I wanted to get into Photoshop, was just to be able to easily do stuff like this without having to like subtract things and move points around in Illustrator. So if I messed with like this super soft round brush that I have and then maybe set to dissolve or something, could maybe play with like some grainy gradients like that, and then playing with some like harsh highlights and shadows, considering, because I know gray is kind of like our lightest color here other than the yellow. I don't know if that will cut it for me personally when it comes to like highlights and stuff. And then similarly too, since, you know, gray is just gray for like default for all of these, if I wanted to do like yellow as like the base for any of these, I can do that too. So again, I feel like Photoshop I'm just quicker in, and that's just my personal preference, but we did the groundwork in Illustrator. So yeah, just kind of like a coloring book. I'm just gonna kind of go around and just play with like clipping masks and seeing what I like with all of this stuff. We're getting into the final stretch of the illustration here, and I think this is the last illustration that I'm trying to kind of color in and stylize here a little bit. So this is kind of like where we're at. I'm really liking it. I was initially kind of struggling with like the background and just kind of how I wanted to use that balance of the palette here, and was considering using some like shades of the original color palette too, but not ending up using those, but I did end up adding a white as well, just because I feel like the grays weren't quite enough for like the contrast that I wanted to get out of this. So yeah, took a little artistic liberty there, as you should. So yeah, now I'm just working on this little like Letterman jacket here for the dark and stormy nights. Yeah, a lot of these are just fun puns that I thought of on the spot. I think the I Hate Mondays one is one of my favorites just because it's like, you know, typical like Garfield, but like a medieval coffee mug, but it's like a tavern mug. And then Bardcore obviously is like the best one in my opinion. Yeah, I think the style turned out better than I was originally thinking. I was not really liking where things were going initially, but feeling good about it now. That mix of like smooth and like flat coloring versus like grainy shading and stuff. I really hope this jacket isn't giving like trying to out Pizza the Hut or anything, you know what I mean? Whatever, we're going with it. But yeah, again, a lot of these really just dependent on clipping masks and being able to kind of do whatever I want within this like confined shape with all of these like little vignette illustrations. Just made things a lot easier for what I wanted to do that I definitely wasn't really going to be able to do very easily in Illustrator. So, you know, sometimes you kind of have to make your own rules with like what's going to work best for you. And then, yeah, kind of the main bit of like stylization I have going on here is using, again, a soft round brush and then setting the layer mode to dissolve. And then you get some really nice chunky grain there. And I think that's about it for the illustration side. I think, as always, I'm going to add some texture here, which I do have a layer up here ready to go. It's just kind of like a dust texture set to screen. You can see this is kind of what it originally looks like. So yeah, we get some like black in there, which is really fun. Just some very, very minor touches here. I'm gonna add a circle and go to effect and pucker and bloat, and then these will just easily make some stars for you. I love adding these just for some glitz and glam. Yeah, I don't know what it is about adding stars like these. I just feel like it kind of like, especially if there's like metallic looking things in the piece, it just kind of adds to that just a little bit. So yeah, I think instead of adding a ripple effect, I'll just add this smart object with all of my illustrations to dissolve. So then we kind of get some of those chunkier edges that way. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, thank you guys again for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about this second color palette challenge that we did here, and definitely steal a palette for your own work and try out your own kind of designs with it. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.